Good morning, everybody. This is Chris Miller from the Coach's Box Call Like We See It podcast, and we are going to be previewing Week 10 of the SEC. I'm in for Coach Kevin Halley, who he had some stuff he had to do this week, man. I mean, we're getting ready to start our high school basketball season, but guess what? SEC football, man, it's in full swing. We'll say this: there's a lot of really bad games this week in the SEC. First off, the teams that are on bye. We've got Texas, LSU, Alabama, and Mizzou. I don't know if Mizzou, after what they did with Alabama, really constitutes as being an SEC school, but those teams are on bye. And there's a couple of games that might as well just be buys for some teams already. Oklahoma, they have Maine coming to them. Oklahoma sitting at 4-4. They're 1-4 in the SEC. They've lost their last three. They need a win, but probably more than most schools in the country right now. They were going to get one. There wasn't even a line put out on ESPN. So if Oklahoma doesn't win this game, obviously somebody's probably going to get fired. Maine's 4-4. They're not very good, so we're not even going to discuss that too much. I'm picking Oklahoma to walk away with this one. Maybe get the wheels turning in the right direction, and at least stop the losing streak. They should. I mean, it's college football. Anything can happen, right? And then we have UMass traveling to Mississippi State. UMass is 2-6. They actually have a better record than Mississippi State. Not quite the same competition, though. Mississippi State, 1-7, bottom of the barrel in the SEC. They've lost their last 7. They probably need a win just as well. The difference is expectations in Norman, Oklahoma, just a little bit higher than what they are with Mississippi State. Mississippi State's favored by 18. I look for them to take care of business there. UMass has kind of been like, hey, pay us money to come get beat. Or for us to come get beat. So that's exactly what's going to happen or should happen. Again, it's college football. Nobody really knows for sure. So those are two pretty easy games, obviously, for SEC schools. The next one, Georgia, Florida at Georgia. I mean, I've not been a Florida fan all year. They're 4-3. They won their last one game that they played. They're 2-2 in the SEC. They're playing at Georgia, who they've won their last 3 since getting beat by Alabama in that crazy game. Georgia is the number 2 team in the country, and they are also favored by 16.5. I'm taking Georgia. It's not even close. Florida's terrible. As long as, we don't get 7,000 interceptions from the quarterback position at Georgia, they should be fine. And then finally, as our last run-through game of the SEC, we have Kentucky at Tennessee. Kentucky played well in one game this year, really thought that they were turning the corner, and then they've lost their last 3 games. They're 1-5 in the SEC, 3-5 overall. Tennessee's won their last 2. 6-1 overall, 3-1 in the SEC. They're number 7 in the country. I look for them to take another step forward, have a 3-game winning streak. They are favored by 16.5 as well. They're going to get it done. Kentucky they're not up to snuff, and I don't think we're going to have any issues moving forward there. No big upset unless we have some kind of major injury that affects them. And I still think Tennessee is deep enough to take care of business against, poor old Kentucky. So our first SEC game, we're going to try to preview 3 of them real quick. We have Vandy at Auburn. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the better games in the SEC this week. Vanderbilt's 5-3, 2-2 in the SEC. They lost last week, but we've seen that Vandy is actually kind of for real this year. I think that they're a lot better team than what people give them credit for, and they should finish fairly strong. Pavy just didn't have enough magic left in him to get it done last week. But I think they're going to take care of business against Auburn, even though Auburn's won their last one. They're actually favored in this game. I have no idea. It's Auburn by 7. I'm telling you, I would take the points on this, and I'm kind of picking Vanderbilt for the upset. Personally, this is not sure where Vegas usually thinks they're right, and a lot of times they are. But Vanderbilt's been playing really well as of late, and I don't see why they couldn't take care of business against Auburn, they're just not a very good team. They play tough at times, but they beat Kentucky last week. It's not saying a whole lot. Everybody's been beating Kentucky lately. So it should be a good game, though. I do think it's a contradiction of styles, but after taking Texas to the wire, I really don't understand the line in this game, but I do pick Vanderbilt to win this game moving forward. In our next game, we have Texas A&M traveling to South Carolina. This is a lot closer than I would expect. A&M's favored by 2. So Vegas again, knowing something probably that we don't. South Carolina just got done, taking Oklahoma to the woodshed. Welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma. They won 35-9, but outside of playing Alabama tough a couple weeks ago, they got whipped by Ole Miss, and South Carolina. They're 2-3 in the SEC, and they're 4-3 overall. So this is going to be very interesting. I think A&M's defense is outstanding, and they are the hottest team in the SEC right now. They've won 7 in a row. They lost their opening game. They are 7-1, and they are the number 1 team in the SEC with a 5-0 record. Now, obviously, they haven't played a couple of the big name schools yet, but they're getting quality play, all year. And I know maybe the strength of schedule hasn't been necessarily in the favor, but I don't look at South Carolina as being that kind of team. It's like, oh, okay, well, hey, now you're really good getting a test. So, I think A&M is going to win this game too. So, I'm picking the other side of the line here and definitely taking A&M. Again, the defense has just been, very, very good. They beat LSU last week, and that was a pretty big signature win. We knew that the winner of that game was going to, go up or down in the rankings, and A&M's up to number 10 right now. It's unless they're calling this a trap game, but the next big test for A&M shouldn't come until they play Texas at the end of this month. So again, not quite sure why the line is like it is, but here we are. Again, South Carolina is playing fairly decent, but this is the SEC. They also lost to LSU by 3. So again, I'm not really sure. I keep saying that, but I really have no idea why this game is like it is. Probably our best matchup, I would say, in the SEC this week is Ole Miss at Arkansas. This is an interesting game. I'm not a big. I've said this many times already. I'm not a big Arkansas fan at all. I think they have outplayed their expectations a little bit. Maybe not for the folks down there in Fayetteville, but I'm looking at Ole Miss. They're favored by 7. I think that they're playing a lot better now. they did lose at LSU, which is a tough game anyway. It was a close game. They just got done beating Oklahoma in their last game. I feel like everybody's beating Oklahoma in their last game. But they did lose to Kentucky earlier this year, and that was about time Kentucky was playing a lot better. This is not the same Ole Miss team. They're playing better as well. I think Jackson Dart is one of the better quarterbacks in the country. But it is an interesting matchup because I think Arkansas is playing really well too. Taylor Green, he's kind of coming to his own, and I know the touchdown interception ratio isn't quite where it needs to be, but they have been trending upwards. I feel like as a program this year in comparison to some of the other schools in the SEC, Mizzou, and this is going to be a tough game. Ole Miss is 6-2. They're 2-2 in the conference. Arkansas 5-3, 3-2 in the conference. So this has some big implications, obviously, for conference standings because Arkansas is in the thick of things in the SEC. For them to possibly sneak in there and get a conference championship berth, since we don't have the East and West divisions anymore. But I still think Ole Miss is a really good team, and I feel like they're going to go ahead and take care of business as well. It will be a tough game. I think it might even be closer than the 7 points. So this should be an interesting one as well to watch. So that's our picks this week for the SEC. Appreciate you guys listening to me ramble on and act like I know what I'm talking about. I've been the worst picker, I think, this year, but I feel pretty good about these. There are not a lot of great games in the SEC, but the SEC is still the SEC. That's why Mizzou needs to wake up and actually decide to play. I'm Chris Miller, and if you like our show, don't forget you can watch us, follow us, listen to us on YouTube, Facebook, and the X. And appreciate you guys taking the time today. And this is our part for